This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Anine's relationship with herself transformed from self-judgment and thinking something was wrong with her, that she needed to be fixed, to one of self-acceptance, appreciation, and love. We are all gifted, and there is a purpose to everyone's lives. The meaning of our lives is to discover our purpose and share who we are with the world. And it is only when we connect with our true selves, our essence, that we truly come alive. Anine has grown her self-confidence and self-esteem, which has helped her get more clarity about her direction, as well as how to show up in life, both in social settings and in relation to how she approached her work. Dare to be real. Valeria interviews Anine Ekelund. She is an entrepreneur, re-ignition coach, workshop and retreat facilitator with a master's in holistic health education. She has been practicing worldwide, both online and in person, for the past 20 years with her proven Dare to Be Real program that have helped hundreds of women who struggle with self-doubt or experience an existential crisis to connect with their passion, purpose, and self-worth. Anine has a vast experience working with both women and men from many walks of life, from stay-at-home mothers to entrepreneurs and CEOs. She currently targets ambitious, kind-hearted women who struggle to stand up for their needs and wishes. A woman who has put her own talents, ambitions, and dreams on the back burner to support her loved ones as she empathizes deeply with their diminished self-worth and emotional turmoil from living under their capacity. She has a background as a management consultant and has facilitated leadership training programs worldwide and in Fortune 500 companies. She has worked as a certified life coach since 2004, founded and led several support networks, conducted speaking engagements, and facilitated workshop series since 2006. She coaches in English, Swedish, and Norwegian. Meet Anine at ANINERGY.com and AnineEkelund.coach. Here's the interview with Anine Ekelund.
In your own words, who is Anine Ekelund?
So I love these questions, actually, Valerie, because this is what I help people with, to actually, in one sentence, say who they are. So I say I'm an exuberant, creative, heart-centered, courageous, and wild Norwegian woman. And I love to move my body, live healthily, explore my inner world, and to adventure into the outer world. And I'm passionate about releasing people's blocked energies and igniting their innate aliveness so that they can live with passion and purpose. So this is really who I am in a very short sentence.
It sounds really wonderful, though, to hear that. And I wish I would hear this from everyone, really. My family members and friends and neighbors. That's a beautiful vision for everyone to kind of see themselves that way, an explorer of life. That's basically what it is. Asking question and being a lot more intuitive Right. And having the courage, you see, you said the word courageous. It takes courage to explore the unknown because that's what it feels like, the inner self a lot of times. It's a spaceless space in a way that it's unknown to the outer world, to how people see us, society, and all that. When you say the inner world, the inner power, what are you referring to? Yeah, talk to me about that, Anine.
Okay, so my inner world is very rich.
Yeah.
It's really about having like a helicopter perspective of who I am from a bit of a distance. My thoughts, my feelings, my body, what goes on in my body. So I have this perspective, not being totally one with it, because then I lose myself in a way.
Right.
But being an explorer is someone who's kind of looking for a little bit from the outside in. So I have this perspective.
So that very much sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong about that, the way I'm interpreting, because I do a lot of spiritual studies and practices, and it's based on Advaita Vedanta, which is a non-duality spiritual philosophy. The way you describe that, it's really the inner world, it's really accurate to me. So it is kind of witnessing and being able to see the movements and the activities of mind and body, but not getting mixed up with them, with those activities.
Yes, exactly. Like I am not my mind. I'm not my mind chatter, and I'm not my, it sounds a little cliche, like when I say I'm not my body, but, I am the observer of all, but at the same time, I'm also very connected to all parts of myself.
Yes. So it's not the disengaged kind of witnessing of body-mind activities. It's actually engaged with it, but perhaps not attached, right, Nina?
Oh, exactly. Very much engaged. I think that makes me come alive, like aliveness for me is very important. And the more engaged I am with whatever is going on, the more alive I feel. But as you mentioned, it's not attachment. And what I mean by attachment is, I don't hold on to the experience that's going on like that is the ultimate truth of things, because it's ever moving, ever changing.
Yes, that sounds very profound to me, and it sounds very much like a non-dual understanding. Is that where your understandings come from as well, spiritual philosophies, or you found them in a different way?
I have been on a journey of introspection and self-discovery for so many years. And so I don't really follow any particular philosophies. I kind of have found my own in a way.
Yes.
I've been called a pathfinder, and I feel very much like a pathfinder. I got into meditation when I was already 15, 16 years old. And so I think that so many years of being in this world has just connected me somehow to this world, this spiritual world. And I have, of course, read and been inspired by, different philosophers and motivational teachers over the years. But I don't follow any particular tradition.
But did you find language to express your understandings of reality, your own reality and reality at large? Did you find this language within religious or spiritual philosophies, or you came up with your own language?
Yes, this is my own language. We are all inspired or influenced. Yeah, I wouldn't say inspired. We are all influenced, I think. And I am influenced, I'm sure, but it's a collective consciousness that's out there. So it's hard to distinguish what's mine and what's the collective.
Yes, Anine, because everything is essentially the same. It's one reality. I mean, I would say it's a lot of minds. We all think differently, and we all have different bodies and habits, which is bodies to me, minds, they are the byproduct of the universe, of this Earth, what we call the universe, Earth. So we can see that clearly, that everything is changing, also cause and effect. If you do this, you get this. So if you do certain things to the body, to the brain, changes will occur, and the body-mind will eventually cease to be the body for sure. The mind, I'm not sure about the mind, the subtle mind that might still stay. But then I do see it's almost as an experience myself, that common shared, let's say, being, everything. I mean, I'm using words from spiritual philosophies because I could not find my own. When I came across, I found the experience my own, of course, through personal introspection, as you did, which to me is the most reliable one anyway. But then I found language that really got me excited. When, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not alone. These people went through that too. And then I found the language of, like you did, in a way, I see that you use the word true self, the authentic self. That's language that spiritual teachers would use, and in some ancient philosophies they use. That language is not new, but there's something about the expression of those words, or the feeling, the transmission of those words when they come from human beings who have embodied that truth, it feels different. It feels very different. And I interview a lot of people, and I'm very interested in these things. So I really feel different in their presence.
I do too. There is a big difference between speaking about it and being it or embodying it. Yeah.
Yes, a billion percent. And that might be the difference between people who suffer and those who suffer less, per se. I cannot say that I don't suffer, which I would say I don't suffer, but I do experience pain, emotional pain when somebody in my family gets sick, or when they die, or when my husband's not feeling well, something happened in his work and he's emotionally is all over the place. So it makes me sad. And I don't distance myself from those things. I don't try to be spiritual in the sense of detachment from everything, as I mentioned earlier. That's what detachment is to me, really. It's spiritual bypassing, really.
What I hear you saying, because you say that you are not suffering, and I do remember reading that Buddha said that, life is pleasure and pain, or joy and pain, but you are choosing suffering.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it sounds like you have arrived there. You allow pain to be there, but there's a big difference between experiencing pain and suffering. And I were to define suffering, it is when you don't want to experience what you're experiencing.
Pushing away, trying to escape, bypass, right?
Yes, exactly. So then you suffer, or you don't want to accept what is.
How do you teach your clients? I know I'm already ahead of myself here with the topics. I love the program you have called Dare to Be Real. For some reason, that really caught my attention. I almost wanted to put the title of the episode, Dare to Be Real. But I did, because it's your program. So I changed the title. But talk to me about software. Do you actually talk to your clients the way you talk to me now?
Yes. Well,
you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do. I'm very real with them, for sure. But then it's all about them and their challenges and their questions and their dreams and aspirations and what they want. But when you talk about suffering, this is one of the core topics, is helping my clients to manage their emotions better. And I do this through helping them to really see, accept, and love themselves for who they are, so they feel very connected to their true selves. And when they do, they feel much more at peace with who they are, and they feel also much more peace in their relationships and what happens in the world, so that they can become better at being a witness to what's going on, rather than losing themselves to whatever is going on around them, because they are standing so strongly rooted in who they are. I don't know if you can just imagine, a person who don't really know who they are, they're easily pushed over. Like if you stand on the floor and I say, I'm going to push you now, and you say, okay, fine, I just push you, and you are not really grounded and rooted in yourself. It's easy for me to push you over. But when you really know who you are, It's like a kinesthetic experience. You can do these kinesthetic tests, and you affirm who you are. You stand so strong in yourself. And then the turmoil can happen around you, but you can deal with it because you know how to be yourself and stand strong in yourself.
That sounds like grounding. And that takes practice, doesn't it, Anine?
It takes practice for sure, but the transformation really happens when you stop self-doubting, when you know who you are at core.
Yeah.
It's a world of difference. I have this life purpose program that I developed due to my own suffering, my own pain. I was so fed up with suffering.
Yeah.
And I had promised myself I was not going to go in the footsteps of my mother, who was suffering a lot. I had deeply felt so much pain for her when growing up, seeing her suffering. And I promised myself to not, experience the same or be the same type of mother towards my children where they saw me suffering. That's a challenging path unless you really know who you are, what your values are, what your strengths are, what your beliefs, that you feel worthy, etc.
So it has to do with practice in the sense of kind of undoing a lot of the doing that has been done. That has been my practice in the sense of body-mind complex. Because, wow, it's amazing how much we learn and how hard it is to unlearn from that perspective, right? And in a body, mind.
Yes. And, you say body, mind. And what is fascinating is, whatever we experience in the mind, the thoughts that are created in the mind, they create emotions, right?
Yes.
And the emotions we feel, they determine the actions we take.
Yes.
And the actions we take determine the results we get in our lives. And that creates our destiny in a way. So if we want a different reality that we have, by becoming aware of our mind and our mind chatter, and by reprogramming the mind to have much more positive self-regard, to see ourselves with new eyes, see the beauty and the uniqueness of who we are, that creates a much more positive emotional state that then impacts our actions and the results that we create in our lives. And that also impacts, of course, the body, because I used to suffer so much in my body because I had such a negative self-talk. I didn't believe in myself. I was judgmental and critical about myself. And that manifested in so much, physical pain and, all different kinds of ailments. But as soon as I healed my childhood wounds and I saw myself in a new light, I feel fantastic in my body. I have no pain anywhere in my body.
See, that's the courage that you spoke earlier. I really have to go back to that idea. Is that what it took you to go through the healing process, the recognition that something had to be done? Courage or acceptance would be number one. In my case, it was acceptance.
Yeah, I have been, courageous. I actually have been in my life. I think that I've been such an explorer in my life. So that requires courage because I have always wanted to experiment and experience a lot more than what I have witnessed around me. And that took courage to kind of be out there on the field alone, in a way, out in the world alone. And the more I was courageous and exposed myself to the world and both the outer world and my inner world, I became much more accustomed to being out where it was uncomfortable. I got used to that, whatever is uncomfortable now will become comfortable when I've just been hanging in this state for a little while, or this situation for a little while. So in order to get to heal, I tell you, you are very right, actually, when you're pinpointing that, because I had not been very courageous when it came to looking at how I sabotaged myself.
Yes.
Because I was suffering. I didn't want to or I didn't understand the importance of looking within rather than looking without for the answers.
Right.
So it took a different type of courage. And the courage to actually, you know what? It was the courage to let go. It was the courage to let go of control, of thinking that I knew the answers, and I actually get goosebumps when I say this now, because it reminds me of the moment when I declared to the universe that, help me, help me. I have had enough of this suffering. And my life have to change. There's no way I'm going to continue like I have, because, it's not leading me to what I want. Right. And that's when I got help. That's when I got the new insights and ahas, because I thought before, it was like there are two parts of my life. Is the before I kind of realized that I had a purpose, and then the after. And before, I thought I had to, kind of suffer and fight and struggle to get my needs met or to arrive somewhere. And when I discovered my purpose and connected with my true self, then I relaxed much more and things started to come to me. I allowed things to come to me rather than directing it so harshly.
Because we talked a lot already about the true self and what that is. Is that similar to intuition? Would you say, could we use that word as well? Coming from the heart or being intuitive? Is that the same thing? Anine?
So being intuitive is part of, you come from your true self when you're being intuitive. Right. You are listening to your gut feeling of something. Right. But being your true self, I define more as someone who are really being authentic and, they show up without a facade. Yeah. They know who they are at core. They know their strengths, their uniqueness, their gifts. They feel very safe in who they are, like they are good enough, they're worthy, and therefore they show up without a filter, without having to be somebody or pretending or adapting to, circumstances. They are being themselves while they are with themselves or when they are with others. Right. Whether they are meeting the queen or, the bus driver, they are showing up as themselves.
Yeah, so there's no separation really, no disconnection, right? Within and without. It's one and the same. Yes, that really resonates true to me. Another question I have for you is about, I know it's one of the practices and also the terms that I use a lot within my own work, self-love and self-acceptance, all that. But then I kind of I have noticed within myself, my own experience, that a lot of times it's not the experience I have when I see, let's say, injustice, other human beings abusing children, animals. There's a part of me that really gets sad and sometimes very upset about that. And I don't like that. And I can say I love myself, but I don't like that part of me that takes over in those moments. And it's kind of searching, looking for justice and to see a world that's beautiful, where we live in harmony, everybody's peaceful. So it's almost like something in me that's not really realistic. It's almost diluted in a way. So I don't like that. It's not accepting what it is. So talk to me for a moment about loving ourselves, and which I can extend that to loving everyone, loving others too, because we can only love others when we love our own selves. But we don't have to like those parts of ourselves, if I can. Parts, when I say part, in a sense of perceptions, the way we experience reality, from the perspective of some experiences, such as the one that I just mentioned, injustice, abuse, and all that. So how do we balance this? Is that something that we have to balance, Anine, or it's just very, let's say, natural to love something but not like everything about it?
Well, this is a very, very important and significant question that you bring up. And first of all, I want to say that love loving yourself and loving others is not separate from having values that are, you feel has been violated.
Right.
And it's very natural that when you see injustice to have a reaction, and that you should also totally accept that, and it's healthy reaction when you see injustice to react and not judge yourself
Right.
for having a reaction, because that's the only way we can stop injustice from happening, is to speak up about it. And so if I see a child being screamed at or slapped or something in the store, it causes me to, or a dog being beaten, or it causes a lot of strong feelings in me as well, and I act.
Yes.
I speak up, but I don't speak up in an aggressive way, because I don't think that aggression will help in that situation. I understand that someone who is being is violent towards someone has been violated themselves, so having compassion somehow in the background for their past, but still not accepting their behavior, but trying to reach them somehow, trying to understand, they are often very frustrated. I mean, I spoke to one client today who keeps on just giving to others all the time and feels completely depleted. And then she yells at her son because she's so depleted. But she's a beautiful soul, beautiful human being. But, we all have our limits, right? So understanding that, we all end up sometimes not being our best selves, and trying to see what we actually sometimes can maybe do for them, to help them, to give them a hand, or whatever is needed in this situation. I think every situation requires, a resourceful response. You respond in a fashion that feels intuitively to you like the right response.
Beautifully said. Yes, I love to hear that from you too. It has been my own experience to kind of even not judge, but it's almost like I cannot believe I still have those feelings. It's almost like feeling that, in a way, it's almost like being demanding to the body mind to not to feel certain things. And we cannot demand that from the body and the mind, not to feel, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, you are so right. And I think that you can from now on just stop that whole...
I know, I'll try.
And if you kind of step back and just understand that, you value, what value is behind what it is that you react to. So if you were to say that, I value kindness, love and kindness, and what I just witnessed was not love and kindness. But if you then try to see that person who was being violent with love and compassion, that there is something that has caused their behavior, then you feel less attached to the emotion, the feeling that you're having. The Aikido, they never attack, right? They always try to go behind the attacker, to try to look at, so they try to go behind, always try to go behind every time they strike, because their philosophy is that we need to try to look at the world from their perspective.
Yes. And not to attack back or counterattack.
And not to attack back. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I love this clarity and wisdom, of course, from another human being, to hear your voice say that. It just makes a lot of sense. Yes, when you say we can do something about it, but in a peaceful way, coming from the right place, which is a place of love, really, isn't it, Anine? It's all inclusive. That's what the true self, pure consciousness, God, the source, whatever we want to call it, it's really all inclusive. It doesn't really push away anything. So why would we?
And what you are talking about, when we get very angry, for example, at somebody who's being violent, then we have forgotten to have that big perspective,
Yeah.
that to see things in wholeness. We are very singular focused. So if we can try to expand, our vision and just keep that in the background, and that helps through meditation and breathing exercises. It gives us more space between stimuli and response, as I call it. Most parents, they latch out at their children and they don't like that about
Right.
themselves. And they maybe, they bark at their husband or, they are, or wife,
Yes.
And so what I've tried to help people with is to develop that space between stimuli and response. Because in that gap, we have an opportunity to choose our response. But most people don't feel like they have that because the reptile brain, the more ancient part of our
Yes.
brain, which is the survival
Yeah.
brain, wants to fight,
Yes.
fight or fly or flee. But we develop that space between stimuli and response. We are operating from our frontal cortex, from the wiser part of our brain. And there we can decide, there we can see things from a whole different perspective.
Yes, it's very helpful. I absolutely agree. Meditation, any mindfulness activity, actually. I do yoga, breathing exercise. I stop and pause a lot of times, just randomly, just kind of,
Yeah.
but it's not, I have to say, it's not easy though. I know it's a practice. That's why I was kind of very reluctant with the idea of practice because I was kind of under the impression that when we get to know and get to experience, like per se, the true self and have that feeling, it's a felt understanding, then everything would be so much easier. Then the body mind would automatically kind of follow that direction and always be kind, and always breathe before responding to anything. But then, I noticed that really, yeah, it's a practice for life.
Oh, it's a practice for life, and it gets easier.
Yeah, I
But
should.
you are already on the path. I mean, it took me years to get to that place where I am today. But with the tools that I have, that I developed, it made it so much easier,
Yes.
right? But I think that a daily practice to connect with one true self,
Yes.
which I am passionate about, and that helps to center me, is really key. I say that, in order for me to connect with others, I need to first connect with myself.
Yes.
So I always start the morning, for example, my husband knows this, my children knows this, that I like to get up earlier than everybody else and sit by myself. And I sit and I journal, write. I gaze out the window. I have a candle, flickering and a cup of tea. And I sit and I write about my experiences, my feelings, my thoughts. That is another way to actually develop that spaciousness between stimuli and response, that you have gone inside yourself so much that feel like you have more distance to whatever is going on. So if I don't connect with myself in the morning, I don't feel like I show up as good of a version of myself with the world as when I have connected with myself. So therefore, that is my daily ritual.
But it's really recognizing something here that I have ignored for so long. That's what I call ignorance, really. It's ignoring this ever-present presence. It's so beautiful and calm and peaceful. And it's always here. But because of the activities of the mind, and all the to-do list we have, and because the mind body, they live in the time-space realities. So it's not easy for most of us to really get in touch with that ever-present, peaceful reality that's here, that we all share. I cannot imagine anyone not experiencing that peacefulness because it is here. If it is my experience, I'm sure it's yours too, and everybody else, which so many people have through meditation and other forms of rituals, as you mentioned. But yeah, for me, Anine, it is more like, it's almost like celebrating, honoring the ever-present presence, peaceful, powerful presence.
Yeah, it's about the peace, I
Yes.
find, present. This is exactly how I define, connection, being connected to oneself. What does it mean? I feel grounded in my body. I have an open heart. I feel connected to the universe. I feel free of stress, worry,
Yeah.
anxiety. I feel inner peace. This is how I feel, that's how I know that I'm connected to myself and that I feel a tremendous sense of aliveness.
Yes, right. It's coming from that place. That would make sense, right? And isn't
Yes.
it interesting? And it's amazing because it's not hidden. It's here. It's accessible to everyone. But for some reason, for the reasons that we know, actually, are very aware of, time, space, body, mind, then it's not easy to, as you say, connect or recognize, or celebrate it. But I don't know what it is. I have been practicing, like talking to you now, and at the same time being aware of that presence. That peacefulness is here, and I can kind of sense it in you too, because it's there too, and you're not there, you're here. So it's really an amazing thing to be recognized. So thank you so much, Anine, for your presence, and that presence which I can see and feel. Let's say I see with the eyes, with the inner eyes. And I absolutely love everything that you're doing and this beautiful desire, heart desire to help others, to heal, to grow, and to recognize their true self. I mean, that's what we need more in this
Yes.
reality. Thank you.
Yes, and really to feel like empowered, to live, our dreams and to not put our own talents and ambitions and strengths on the back burner,
Yes.
because we are putting everybody else first.
Yes.
This is the type of people that I feel particularly inclined to support. Those are the givers to everyone but themselves, because they maybe don't feel worthy enough. They don't see themselves clearly enough. And therefore, it's much easier to put other people first. Yeah, learning to come back home to themselves, they will be able to be greater givers to others, but from a place of feeling like their cup is full rather than empty. That's really key to me. And I know what it's like to come from a place of depletion and feeling kind of victimized and, being taken advantage of, and just being able to feel that power within and strength, and know how to navigate life towards what is important to them, is for me the greatest joy. I really feel like I'm living my calling. This is my true calling.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful I found that.
Yeah, it sounds like it very much. Listening to you, it's truly beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. And I do see that you work with women, and it seems like women only.
Well, I don't work with women only. I've been working as a coach for 20 years. But right now, they say, when I became a coach, there were no coaches.
Yeah,
I
long
was
time ago.
known out there. Now, with so many coaches out there, it's important to actually be visible out in the world. We are encouraged as coaches to niche ourselves. And, I was asked, who do I feel most for, and I do feel a lot for these warm-hearted, kind, generous, empathetic women who have a tendency to put themselves on the back burner, because I believe that these women, they are needed in the world big time. They can bring so much more harmony and balance to the world, creating much more well-being and health for all. But they need to learn to fill their own cups first, to put on their own oxygen mask first, so that they don't get, depleted and sick and, and wither, but that they stand strong in their power.
Right. And we do need guidance, right? Yeah.
Yes, we need one another to
Yes,
grow.
that's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Anine, again, for your beautiful work, your beautiful presence, for being genuine and open to life. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it. It's been delightful to get to know you and speak to you. I've spoken to you a few times now. I've loved every minute.
Yes, I feel the same way. What is another word for healing?
Another word for healing is growing whole, wholeness.
Yes. And how do you define success these days, Anine?
Success is really defined in my world according to what one values, what one finds really important in life. So it's definitely not in material terms, but in terms of, living in alignment with who one is and doing what one loves to do, and having healthy relationships, healthy body, healthy mind. That is, to me, success.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. Thank you so much again. And before we say goodbye for today, where's the best place to find information, more information about you and your services, Anine?
I actually have two websites currently. So one is Aninergy. It's a very feminine website. It's actually my name combined with energy. So it's ANINERGY.com. So Aninergy, because I was called Aninergy because I had so much energy. And the other one is AnineEkelund.coach.
Yes. I have those two links here. Are you on social media too?
Yes, I'm on social media too. So, and I'm under Aninergy on Instagram. I have a Facebook page, but I'm not super active there. And then I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not very active there either, but you can find me there as well. But mostly on Instagram, that's where I'm sharing some posts. And I have actually done a few TikToks as well. So you can find me there under Anine Connects.
Wonderful. I'll have your website links on your podcast profile so they can find the social media on your websites too, the icon in the links. Thank you so much again for your presence, Anine, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Yes. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Anine Ekelund and her work, please visit ANINERGY.com and AnineEkelund.coach.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.